of the love series, where we're going to talk about questions and stories about love. If you have any questions you want answered in the next episode, please do email at lifepeakcoaching@gmail.com or DM us at lifepeakcoaching in Instagram. So today we're going to talk about 10 of Google's most searched questions on relationships. This is in 2017. Unfortunately, no updated list yet as of 2018, but we are on the lookout for that. So personally, I've actually searched on Google a lot of things about relationships because I have never had a boyfriend before. And I keep encountering things that for other people may seem dumb. So I turn to the internet for answers. I have searched questions such as how to keep a man attracted, how to date an entrepreneur, how to spice up your long-distance relationships, and the list actually goes on and on forever. So if there's anything you want to know about relationships, or you have a situation right now that you can't seem to tell anyone but you badly need an advice from a person totally not involved in your situation so you can get something more objective, so then feel free to hit me up, comment below, or DM us at LifePeak Coaching. Alright, so let's start on our list. We'll do it from the bottom to the top. So number 10. What does a healthy relationship look like? Well, I won't claim that I have the healthiest relationship because mine is still fairly new. We just hit our 1-year mark last December. Also, there are still some things that my boyfriend and I do skirt around, especially on things that do upset us. But we choose to let go of them because sometimes in relationships, you choose your battles and vice versa. I find myself asking if we're ever going through a rough patch or it's something like a small, petty issue, is it worth shaking your relationship over something so small? If you were going through the same thing, you have to ask yourself. So if it's worth shaking your relationship over. But if it's not, it's better to let it go. If there's any quality of a healthy relationship that is important to be present, it will be good communication. So from my current to past men I've dated, it's something that we have a very solid foundation on. We can say that we can really argue very well when we're having some fights because we can articulate our feelings, our ideas, and opinions very well. We can tell each other clearly what we want and need in a relationship. You see, we are not fortune tellers that you can just make use of your senses to know what your partner is feeling. You need to communicate it. So if this is something you and your partner are currently struggling in, you have to have an open discussion about it. Or if that's a challenge in itself, because you're already having a communication problem, get some help or read up some tips on how to do it. Provided that you are both very open to do this kind of or develop this kind of trait within your relationship. Number 9, how do you know your relationship is over? Given that our generation has so many different ways of leaving a person, like ghosting, crumbling, breadcrumbing, then the lines currently are now becoming more blurred than ever before. Believe me, this is something I've always been frustrated over and over again. And this is due to what I call my almost relationship. So you know those guys you date for a long time and then everything is going well, but at the end of it, he just tells you, I'm not ready to commit. I don't do LDR. I don't think I'm very comfortable with the idea of being committed right now, etc. and etc. For me, the relationship is over if the person no longer gives importance to you and your relationship. Of course, there will be times in the relationship that you go through a rough patch. But if this has been going on for a long time, you have to start thinking twice. If it's something you can get through together, or maybe it's time to call it quits. So in my experience, I ended it based on those non-negotiable red flags. And since, as I have said, we have really good communication as a couple, most of my exes or current partners do say it outright that, it's over. But then again, not all men or women are able to say it outright, like, let's stop seeing each other. So you have to have that kind of conversation and be courageous enough to do so. Because you know what is worth for you, you know what's your worth, and you know what kind of relationship you want to have. So better be upfront with what you want. So you won't be wasting your time on something that's not gonna be in your foreseeable future. Number 8, how to get out of a toxic relationship. So for some people, they will just tell you, get out. You know that you're not in a good place, so why don't you just get out of the relationship? You see, sometimes we are too blinded of our love for the other person that we see the abuse part, the physical or emotional abuse that you're getting, as something normal. We become desensitized by it, and we see it as part of keeping the relationship. It may look irrational for other people, but for someone inside that relationship, it is actually just part of the relationship that you currently have right now. So for me, the very first step on how to get out of a toxic relationship is the realization that you are in one. Let me give you an example. So I was dating this guy who was charming, awkward, and goofy. I thought nothing of it when he keeps on suggesting these things, especially when we were discussing about putting up a business. At first, we were partners, looking for a good location together, finding leads, doing product testing, etc., etc. But as we get more and more into the business, I realize that the roles have shifted, where he just tells me what to do, and I'm like the dog who fetches when the master says fetch. So it does not exactly compare to a gravity of a relationship where you're experiencing physical abuse, but we all have our own perception of abuse, and we should not stand by it and let it happen. So just last piece of advice, if you're in a toxic relationship, is be courageous enough to stand up for yourself. You have to have enough respect for yourself to be able to get out of a relationship that you are not being respected into, or you're not being valued for what is your real worth. Number 7, how to get over a relationship. I've personally done so many ways on getting over a relationship, but the one that really works is this: the acceptance that it is finally over. I have been desperate before, and I've tried to cling to the guy, done lots of stupid things, but at the end of the day, you guys are not getting back together. Second, find new passions and hobbies. Cliche it may be, but it actually helps put your mind off things. In my case, I range from being super workaholic to retail therapy, drinking, and binge eating. So take your pick. But just a word of advice, drinking doesn't help. Binge eating just makes you really fat. So that's a really bad idea. Do something more physically exhausting, but would be very fun for you. Third, give yourself time to heal and get to know yourself again. You've been with this guy for quite some time, I understand that. Or maybe just a short period of time, but you have to get used to the fact that you will be doing things on your own, exploring things on your own, going to a restaurant alone, going to the malls, watching movies, and that is perfectly okay. Because you are learning to be comfortable with your own company, and you're going to learn to love again the feeling of having me time, which is, of course, you used to have a lot of couple time, but now the key here is actually you're channeling all the love that you used to have for this person before and putting it back to yourself. So it's part of rebuilding who you are again as a single person. Number 6, what is an open relationship? The first time I knew about this was way back in 2014 when I was seeing someone overseas, and he proposed this very setup. Basically, from my understanding, you're in a relationship with someone, but you're also free to date other people. So you and your partner may set some limits or be open as you can be. I believe that every couple is unique, so you guys figure it out, whatever works for you. So if you're entering an open relationship, just figure out what works for you guys. But at that time, when this was proposed to me, it's not something I'm a very huge fan of. I'm not very comfortable with sharing my guy with another woman who's satisfying other needs that I can actually give. So it's a very it's an area that I'm not very open to explore. But if you and your partner have actually agreed and want to do something like this, which I have encountered before. I have a friend who's in an open relationship, and if it works for you, then good for you. Just, every relationship is unique. You find what works for you and your partner. Number 5, how to save your relationship. Well, the first follow-up question I have for this is it worth saving? Every relationship goes through different challenges and conflicts, and at times you want to strive to save the relationship because you love the person and you want this person to be part of your future. But saving a relationship is a two-way street. So it is just not one party who wants it to happen, but it should be both parties in the relationship. If both of you are actually willing, then you and your partner need to have a really good long talk to address your issues, so you both can work on moving past them and learn from them. But first, answer the question, is it worth saving your relationship? Do it for the right reasons, not based on how long have you been together or how you guys look good together, but do you still see each other in your future? Do you still want to make it work? Because you still love and respect the person for who they are. You've got to really think about it and decide wisely. Is it worth it? Number 4, what is a poly relationship? It is similar to an open relationship, but polyamorous love is being committed to 2 or more people, because open relationship, as I know, may mean you can be dating or seeing other people, but commitment may not be there. But the polyamorous one is with commitment, or that is what I actually understand based on the YouTube videos I have been watching. See, I search about it too, so a lot of things that you search about in Google or YouTube to learn more about relationships. But if you want to learn more about polyamorous, there's a lot of articles, there's a lot of documentaries that you can search on if it's something that you're very interested in. I've actually encountered someone who's in a polyamorous relationship, and if it works for them, that's great. So he has a wife and then he's looking for another wife so he can have 2 wives. So if that's your case, then best luck. Number 3, how to build trust in a relationship. This question depends on what stage of your relationship are you currently in, and if you have had bad past relationship, because those are important to know before you actually give tips on how to build trust in a relationship. So if you're starting out, the very first things that could show that your person can trust you is you show that you're very dependable. Even with the smallest actions, like arriving on time, texting when you're arriving late, it's just basically showing your respect towards your partner and honoring your commitments to him or her. So if you're already in a relationship, if there are still some trust issues that came out, then communication is your best next step. Knowing what they are, what triggers the trust issues, and what you can do to alleviate your partner's fears will be a really big help. I remember I read an article about a lady who has an anxiety problem. So she's currently in a relationship. What her boyfriend does is he actually made a lot of things that would alleviate his partner's fears actually. So the girl who had anxiety problems made a list of how to comfort her. So every time she's getting an attack, her boyfriend does those lists of things. So it's all about working with your partner on how to alleviate your fears, may it be trust issues or anxiety. It's basically going down to having a good communication. So there are many actually tips on this topic because it's pretty broad, but for me what works really, as I've been saying it again and again, communicate, communicate, communicate. Number 2, how to change your relationship status in Facebook. Honestly, just go to your profile and edit there, but I'm not quite sure why this became number 2 in the most searched questions in Google. I've only done this once, and that is when I've gotten together with my current boyfriend. It was more of an assurance or security to him that I'm publicly telling people that I'm actually off the market.
Well, it's a two-way street.
Yeah. Well, our circumstances were actually different at that time because it requires me to move away from my current country. So if anyone's wondering, I'm actually from the Philippines and I was moving to Myanmar for 4 months to work there. So my boyfriend and I just literally got together a month before I left. So we had to had suddenly a long distance relationship for a time. So this is actually our way of committing it publicly and telling other people, because Facebook is something that everybody has an access to. So it's a really good way to communicate how we're committed to each other and we're actually in a relationship. And this is the reason why we had it in the first place. We don't usually do this, but I guess for our circumstances at that time, we need the reassurance and the security that we're actually off the market. Number 1, how to make a long distance relationship work. Find it funny that this was number 1, given that I just said I was in an LDR setup. Now, there are a lot of things I can actually say about LDR, and it may even surpass the time I have for this video, because this is a question that I really want to talk about in length, because I've been involved in a lot of long distance arrangement, and I think I have a lot of things to share about this. But for now, the basics of making a long distance relationship work is actually 3 things. The first one is the LDR setup should be a temporary situation. And you and your partner have an agreement or a deadline that you're going to be in the same place again after some time. So it should not be a very long arrangement. Number 2, make a routine or schedule where you both get online and talk and have some quality time together. So just be creative. So just to share with you, my boyfriend and I actually have Friday movie nights where we watch together the same videos with video calling. So that's a lot of data and Wi-Fi for you guys, but that's how we made it in our way. And then number 3, really constant communication. So one of the skills or trait that will really be sharpened between you and your partner is communication skills. Because you cannot be physically there for him or her, but telling your partner exactly or clearly how you feel, even if you ever do a lot of arguments or fight online, that's okay. Just decide that you will not turn off the lines because that is just so easy when it's online. You can just easily sign out of your Facebook account, your Skype, or whatever tool that you're making use of, rather than actually dealing with it. So if you're going through a rough patch or if you're arguing, please do not go off. Please do not go offline. You need to stay and work it out. So those are actually my takeaways from the Google's top 10 most search questions on relationships. I hope you got a lesson or 2 with our episode today. So if you have any love or relationship questions that you want to be answered, do comment them below or DM us at LifePeak Coaching or email us at lifepeakcoaching@gmail.com. So you will see all of those in the description box below, right, man? Right, man? So if you enjoyed this episode, please do give us a thumbs up, and if you want to be notified every time there's an uploaded video, please do subscribe on our channel, and I will see you all guys next time. See ya!